Today, let's talk about AI prompts versus AI models in PowerApps, Power Automate, or really the whole Power Platform, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the AI Hub, and then we're going to see that there's two different paths, right? And like Microsoft hates when I compare these things, but it's been a common question I've gotten over the last month. People are like, hey, what's the difference? Why does this behave different here and there? So I want to kind of just make sure you understand that yes, AI prompts and AI models have different behaviors, give you an intro of kind of what both of them does, overview, make sure you understand how they work, show you some examples, and generally just make you smarter. Sound fun? Then let's switch over to my desktop and take a look. Okay, so we're gonna start over here at make.powerapps.com, right? But keep in mind, if you went to make.powerautomate.com, you could get to the same experience because this isn't Power App specific, this is Power Platform specific. And this makes sense, right? Microsoft's kind of made it a point that Power Platform is the center of the Copilot experience, right? We've got Copilot Studio here, and so building low code, no code apps and adding AI or adding AI to your workflows through your Power Automate stuff, like it just makes sense. So foundationally, it makes a lot of sense. This is where we jump off. Now, if we jump over here, so if you go over here to more, if you look through here, you're going to see AI Hub. Just keep in mind, if you've never done it, if you hit discover all, like here is literally all of the stuff, right? It's kind of hidden some of the things these days. But for us, right, what we're looking for is the AI Hub. So we're just gonna go to more and we're gonna go here to AI Hub. So the AI Hub isn't actually functionality. It is just kind of a jumping off spot to go to the different things, right? And really what it comes down to is we have AI prompts, AI models, and they'll tell us document automation, but it's not really anything different. What are the AI prompts, right? So this is the newest stuff that is rolled out. This is the piece of the puzzle where you can use, the GPT, the OpenAI, large language model under the hood to think for you in a response, right? So we give it some information, whether it's a dynamic prompt, a static prompt, and then it's going to respond back to you the same way that like ChatGPT or like Bing Copilot would, okay? So we have prompts, we have AI models. This is the portion that, Power Platform has been doing AI since I think 2019 is when the first of the AI models rolled out, right? So this is the stuff that is built on their platform. It's got all those different things like the document scanners, the image stuff, the prediction stuff. So, right, like but they're two separate things. So you get to both of them through the AI Hub, but at the end of the day, they are two separate things. And why that is important is because they also encounter things where they both do the same thing, but they do it different ways, right? The prompts is using that GPT-3.5 or 4, we'll show you where that is in a minute, capabilities to, have that large language model conversation around data you've given it, right? Things you've typed in, whether you typed them in directly or not. AI models, that's the whole engine that they kind of built themselves before OpenAI and ChatGPT and all that existed. And so if they do the same tasks, they're going to do them differently, okay? So let's start by just exploring AI prompts here for a minute. Okay, so if we go to AI prompts, and you can get here directly, right? There is an AI prompts tab, so if this is where you always want to go, you could. And so here what we're going to do, this is about augmenting your Power Apps and your Power Automate flows with that AI experience, right? Like, so if we look at one of these prompts, like here, we'll look at this one I built on a video previously. So you can see that I'm giving it a prompt, right? Hey, help me create a response to a customer service request, please. The request is, and then this is a way for me to dynamically pass it the request. The initial response, right? The information that they're responding to is, and we're going to pass that in dynamically. Then we're saying, hey, okay, here's what you needed. Now what I want you to do is please create a new response that is friendly and appropriate to send back to the customer. Should be empathetic as necessary while keeping the response concise. Please don't respond with extra stuff, right? So if we go look at the app, what it does, we go over here, if we jump into my app and we see the different requests that we've gotten, right? So for example, my internet has been slow. If I click on this request, right? So that's the initial prompt. And so often we'll see things like where technicians will just reply with something real simple like, bummer, you should buy one of our faster packages, right? Like, so that's the meat of what we want to say, but we don't want to send that back to a customer. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass it over that AI prompt. It's going to take those two inputs. It's going to chug on them and be like, hey, I understand your frustration with the slow internet. We apologize for the inconvenience. Have you tried restarting your router or contacting our technical support team for assistance? And so at that point, right, like that's a better response. And of course, because we keep a human in the loop, if we look at that and go, well, man, I really wanted to sell the package, right? Then I go back here, I can either edit these words directly. So if I wanted to change this to be more in line with what I wanted and type it in, or we might go back to the draft response and try something different, like you can contact us to buy an upgraded package with more speed. We'll say AI update again. And there you go. Look, I understand that having slow internet can be frustrating. We apologize again. To address this, we recommend upgrading to a package with higher speeds. Please feel free to reach out. So This is one of the reasons that when these type of scenarios, we don't want to just let AI do its thing, right? Like we always talk about human in the loop. So the human was able to jump in the loop and just re-prompt it again, right? And so we would have to kind of work through that. Or like I said, we could have manually taken what it had written and just added the stuff about blind packages. But the idea is not the scenario, right? It is really this idea that I just passed that information, right? The bummer was here, my internet is slow, and this transformed it into a better response. So that's what you're primarily seeing with these prompts, right? Is you want the ability to push information in here. Now, when you look at these, and like I said, there's a whole video up there on how to build that app and, the prompting. But over here, we keep getting new settings, right? So this is where we define the inputs, the things that we're passing into it, the data used, so we can now augment with Dataverse. What do we want to output as text or JSON? So this JSON is new. So like in one of our projects, we needed more structured data. We didn't want like words. We wanted structured, extracted data. So we changed that to JSON. And then the settings down here, you can change this from GPT-3.5, which is what it's always been, to now you can use 4. One of the neat things about 4 is right now, while it's in preview, it is free, right? Whereas 3.5 does use your AI builder credits to do it. So you might check out 4, right? 4 is going to be, probably a better response, maybe faster, maybe not, but, probably going to be a more articulate response. It might have messed up our prompt to begin with. And then last but not least, temperature, that's where you would just say, hey, do I want consistent, boring responses? Probably in this case, so we'd leave it down there. Or man, do I want this thing to get all crazy and make up wild ideas and add all types of flair? Then I could turn the temperature way up. So you have some adjustments there, okay? But so that's the idea of prompting. And so that was created text with GPT. They have some built-in ones here. Hey, if you're into this whole AI thing, which you better be, right? I've got a Copilot Jumpstart class. We're going to talk about this type of stuff, other Copilot things, but the Microsoft AI ecosystem and all the stuff that you need to know. We're going to do that live August 27th. Me and Daniel and May are going to jump in there together, teach that class. It'll be lots of fun, lots of interactive stuff. It's got hands-on labs. You get a recording of it. You also get access to our separate AI on-demand class, which has things like ChatGPT and Copilot, Copilot Studio, Microsoft Copilot, like all the different things you need to know. Hopefully I will see you there in August. So summarizing, extracting, classifying, sentiment analysis, and respond to a complaint, right? So those are pre-built, but they all do the same thing, right? If I say, hey, I want to do extract information from text, if we look, all it's doing is it's written a prompt for us that we could still edit, right? So it's not something special. It's just a pre-written prompt. And look, it's giving you a good example of what that extracted data looks like, right? In the case where we talked about where Daniel and I's project, we want to get JSON out, there was a kind of a primer on how that worked. So that's the idea of AI prompts. Now, I do want you to take a mental note though of like this summarize, extract, classify, sentiment analysis, because in a minute, you're going to see those pop up again, but we're going to talk about how it's different. Okay, so that's your AI prompts. Oh, and keep in mind that we're showing this running the AI prompt via a Power App, but you could also add these into your flows. So if you want to have flow, like when you get an email in, pass over a bunch of information out of the email into the prompt and maybe tell it how to respond to the email. Like, I don't know, but you can use these prompts with Power Automate. You can also use them now in Copilot Studio as well. So these prompts are more than just making your Power Apps better. They're making your whole AI story better. Okay, so let's switch back over to the AI Hub again. So that was prompts. So then now we have AI models. So this is the stuff, like I said, has been here since about 2019 when Microsoft first started dabbling in these things, right? So this stuff's really baked, right? But at the same time, like it's not using GPT-3.5 and 4, right? Like it's not in that world because it was built before all that stuff, really was, mainstream. So, but over here, you've got the same type of thing, but just more complex, right? Like, so for example, if we go to documents, document processing, extract custom information from a document, right? Very similar to what we did over there, extract it from text. So, right, we could kind of do similar things, but this has its own piece. Invoice processing. So I did a whole video on that up there, right? Like that is this. So invoice processing is a built-in model. I built an app to take a picture, right? You can see of this piece of paper, right? Like I think it was this one right here. I took this picture and then I passed it in a flow. I took the picture, I uploaded it to SharePoint. When a document gets uploaded in that SharePoint library, a flow runs, extracted all this information, vendor name, invoice number, total date, got the line items for, the belly rubs and the bowls of food, all of that. And I didn't train nothing. I literally just pointed at that invoice processing model and it was all built in, right? We just built an app around it to facilitate making edits if they had changes, and giving you this lovely little interface with a zoom. That's right, Shane invented a zoom for this video. Just to, if you want to, update it, confirm that it all looks the way you want it. That's this, right? Invoice processing, right? Text recognition, so extract information, OCR, images, and PDFs. That's kind of cool. Receipt processing, I gave it my Kroger receipt. It told me everything I bought at Kroger. I don't know why that mattered, but sometimes you want to do that in your business scenarios. Pull information out of identity documents, so like driver's licenses and passports, and then extract information from business cards. So all of these, though, are pre-built models. You don't have to do anything to use them, but say that you get really custom invoices that the pre-built model only half gets right? You can build your own models with this tool as well. So very powerful way to take documents, whether it's the document or a picture of the document, and pull information out. On the text side, so like sentiment analysis, like where have we seen this before, right? We just saw this over in the AI prompt stuff. Why do I point that out? Because they are two different sentiment analysis, right? This uses the Microsoft engine that they built years ago. The other one uses the, OpenAI ChatGPT interface, right? So you could do sentiment analysis on the same text in both of these, and you can get different responses. I bring that up because I want you to make sure you understand that you have two choices. And if one's not doing what you want, try the other, right? Like we literally had that problem like 2 weeks ago, right? Daniel was trying to extract a bunch of information out of our statements of work. And so he came over, extracted the text out of the document, and then he said, hey, extract key elements from text and classify them to predefined categories. Right? He tried this one, and it didn't work. I mean, it worked, it did stuff, but it wasn't what he wanted. So he basically kind of threw in the towel. But then I said, hey, Daniel, try the other one, right? Because over back here, right, under prompts, we had this whole extract information from text. I'm like, see if that one does what you want, because they're two different tools, even though they do the same thing. So just remember that. Check both places. Who knows which one does what you do or don't want? Okay, so speaking of all the text stuff, right, you can see, right, we've got the different pieces, entity, key phrase, checked what language it is, do translations, category classification, entity stuff. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff here. And the great thing about these is, once again, you can easily run them from PowerApps, Power Automate. You have the ability just to plug these in without a lot of jumping through hoops. And get a lot of really powerful stuff without you doing a bunch of stuff. How many times I say the word stuff? I don't know. Structured data. So I've never used this one, but the idea here is that you have the ability to feed it like historical sales data or customer churn data. And so you feed it all the data, and as long as it produces a binary output, like, so churned, yes or no. So when you give it the data, it learns it. So then you give it the current data, and it will then start to be able to predict within like what percentage chance of churning does this customer have. If you've never heard of churn, that's when a customer leaves you, right? So you churn through a new customer. Sorry, using businessy words and shouldn't be. But anyway, so this one has that ability to look at historical data with a true false outcome and then predict based on current data, is that the record, item, person, customer, whatever, going to have that outcome and give you a percentage of that, right? So pretty cool one. That is a custom one. You got to train it up. Images, extract all the text and photos in a PDF document, generate description of an image, right? Like how often do you want that type of stuff? But my favorite one, detect custom objects in an image. So if we go over here, so I trained a model to take pictures of my little Chewy toys, right? These little guys right here, and count them. And so when I showed it this picture, it said, hey, there's 5 of those in there, right? If we give it a different picture, so this picture right here has got a Chewy and a pig in it and a donkey. Say open. When we feed this through, it's going to look through, and if it does a good job, you never know. There you go. Look, it says, hey, there's 1 Chewy and there's 1 pig. And even though there's a donkey here, which is very similar to the cow, dog, or donkey, cow, it says, hey, that's not one. So it did not flag that as a cow. So this is what we're seeing, when people use this to do like inventory stuff, analyze, are things broken? Like we've seen a lot of people do a lot of interesting stuff. And all I had to do to build this model out was I went in here, went to detect my custom objects, right? You can see it's kind of showing you what it looks like. But if we say create a custom model, no, wait, this actually isn't what we want. Okay, let's go back. If we go find my Chewy cow pig, there's the model I want, right? So if I click on my model, this is the one that I trained. And so if we say, hey, I want to edit the model. Okay, and so here, if we go in, say, so I'm going to do common objects, right? You can see there's the 3 different types of models it does. So we do common objects. And so then there I created, all right, I want a Chewy, a cow, and a pig. And then we did next. And so you can see I've uploaded 103 images. And so if we go into those images, tag images, see, there's all the ones. And so all I did was I took pictures like this one, and then I drew these boxes around it. Said that's a Chewy, that's a Chewy, that's a Chewy. And so 103 of those images I tagged, and I would just take pictures of, this way, this way, this way, this way, highlight, low light, white background, black background. The more images I fed through, the smarter it got. And so ever since I, got to these types of numbers, right? And like 50 or more is kind of ideal. Ever since I've surpassed 50, like I've had no false positives, right? It's been pretty cool. So anyway, and then once I, built the model, then I could put that into a Power App and Power Automate, right? I had the ability just to bolt all that in. So let's just say, get out of here real quick. Okay, so that's the images stuff, right? So lots of AI capabilities, right? I think that's all of them. I probably missed something, but there's so much of it. But I want you to understand, right? So AI prompts, using the new OpenAI stuff. AI models, using the stuff Microsoft's been doing for years, which is a good thing, right? Like they got 5 years of history and usage in there. It's a very strong stuff, but it is different, right? Like with the AI models, we end up doing with most of them, we have the ability to do custom and training it. Whereas with the prompts, it's really just, here's some words, here's some more words, do your thing. It's not doing all the vision-y stuff like we're seeing here. Questions, comments, I'd love to hear them, right? Like this is all really fun and super cool to me. I think it's important that we all understand all the AI capabilities, right? Living in the low code, no code world, we are at the forefront of this whole AI revolution, and all the cool AI stuff is all about, people building things that they didn't know how to, kind of like us building apps that we didn't know how to because we didn't know pro code, but with low code, we could do it. So now we're going to take our low code plus the AI and do even more amazing things. Like super excited for this time. So with that, I'm going to say thanks and have a great day.